Hello and welcome. I'm Gavin Phillips with Photo Effects and Layer Cake. I'd like to introduce you to your new set of exposures, Photoshop and Lightroom presets, actions and textures. So let's jump straight in. So you bring your photo into Camera Raw and here are all of the presets. You find the preset that works best for a particular photo. You can make any changes to it. That looks great. There's a couple of other ways to apply the presets through Bridge. There's this way through the flyout menu or just opening Camera Raw. So let's apply some presets to this image. This looks nice, and we can also compare side by side from the original to the after. You receive 50 presets that give you all different kinds of moods depending on the photo that you're applying it to. And you receive duplicate workflows that work in Adobe Camera Raw in Photoshop and in Lightroom. And here are the presets in Lightroom. They're very easy to use. Just click on them. You can make any changes in the panel on the right. So now let's take a look at using the textures in Photoshop. I'll also be showing you a Lightroom to Photoshop and back to Lightroom workflow. You also receive my Textures Masterclass video, which shows you all of my creative ideas, tips, and the ways that I work with the textures, the presets, and the actions in Photoshop and in Lightroom. So with my texture workflow, I normally start by applying one of the presets to the image. So let's go into Camera Raw and find a preset that works best for this image. Then I'll open it up in Photoshop. You receive all these actions as part of the software. This apply texture action is particularly helpful, saves a lot of steps. So I've applied that cream texture. Now I'm going to apply a blur to the texture. It gives you a very nice creamy look, as we'll see in a moment. And now I'll apply another texture, see if I like the combination of the two textures together. This blue one is nice. So keeping with this creamy look, I'll apply a blur to the blue one as well. And now we can see by turning off the textures, the before and the after. And you have complete creative control. If you want to remove any part of the texture from any part of the image, you simply paint on the layer mask. Now let's see what it will look like when we add some birds to this image. I'm just going to resize it, and now I'm going to remove the birds from the mother and her daughter. So let's open another photo and let's run one of your included custom actions. This gorgeous action gives a very nice tint, and you can make any changes in the layers palette. You also receive this recipes layered file. These are all different sets of combinations of textures that I know work really well together, and all you have to do is drag and drop them onto your image. So I'll drag and drop this combination of textures onto the image, and it's added some nice color combinations. Now let's turn off the textures and see how it is before the textures and now with the textures added. Now I wanted to introduce you to Photoshop's Layer Comps tool. It's a very handy tool, especially when working with the textures, and this Layer Comps tool is also covered in the Masterclass movie tutorial. So here's the Layer Comps tool. It's quite easy to use. You just click on the button there, and I'm just going to call this Text 1, and then I'm going to turn off the textures there and save this new version and just call it Text 2. And you can save as many layer comps as you want of one image, and this allows you to switch between them to see which one you prefer. Now we'll head over to Lightroom. There's a workflow from Lightroom to Photoshop and back to Lightroom. So I've applied one of the presets. You just right click and edit in Photoshop. That will bring the image into Photoshop for you. And now you could drag and drop some of your favorite textures onto the image, save the image, and then return back to Lightroom. And there's a copy of the photo that we just edited in Photoshop back in Lightroom. This workflow between Lightroom and Photoshop and back to Lightroom is also covered in the Masterclass movie tutorial. And if we return to Photoshop, we can take a few seconds to review the 200 textures that you receive as part of the software. The natural wood can also be used as backgrounds as well as textures. Now you can also review large thumbnails of all 200 textures off of the web page as well. And for software compatibility, you can see exactly which versions the software works for. With the textures, they work with any editing program that supports layers. Please see the website to review all of this information. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.